In fact, California isn't even the best example of how high gas prices harm consumers. This CNN story points out that drivers in states like Mississippi and Nevada make lower wages on average, so they feel the higher gas prices more intensely. See, the more you read about gas prices, the more you learn, the more complicated you realize it is. But right-wing pundits are trying to make it sound simple, blaming it all on President Biden. The New York Times fact check about this was pretty explicit, saying Republicans wrongly blame Biden for rising gas prices. Biden then celebrated that fact check when he was speaking to fellow Democrats. But let's be honest, nobody from right-wing media is ever going to acknowledge that fact check or point it out. Joining me to discuss this and more, Nicole Hemmer, Associate Research Scholar at Columbia University. She's also the author of Messengers of the Right. Here also, he's CNN's senior media reporter, Oliver Darcy. There we go. And NPR TV critic Eric Deggans back with us as well. Oliver, since I was butchering your title, you're up first. The coverage of gas prices, a very real issue. I paid $80 yesterday to fill up a tank. We all feel it. And yet, there's also some exaggerating going on. Why do you think that's happening?
Well, it's good politics for Republicans, right? Because people associate how high gas prices are, I think, with how well the president's doing. And so when you have these record high gas prices, people say that Biden's not doing well. And then you have outlets like Fox reinforcing that view, saying that this is President Biden's fault. Had he not, for instance, suspended or revoked the permit for the Keystone Pipeline, the U.S. would have more oil production, not be reliant on Russian fuel, when we know that even if he hadn't done that, the pipeline wouldn't have been built. So that's a non-starter. So there are all these ways that Fox is distorting the story to pin the blame on President Biden. And I think, frankly, if you're a Republican, it's good politics. It's just dishonest politics.
And it's working. We should be clear on how well it's working. Have you noticed these stickers that are popping up at some gas stations? Let's show them. There's stickers of Biden that is pointing to the high prices and say, that's because of me. I did that. There's one of these stickers. This is really catching on. I did that. This is really catching on. And to me, Nicole, it's an example of how a meme, something online, can actually manifest in the real world.
Absolutely. I mean, it's pretty savvy because it's something that people, when you're filling your car up with gas, you're staring at the numbers go up and up and up, and now you have this little sticker that tells you, who's to blame for this? Joe Biden. So it's a very effective messaging, even though it's completely wrong.
Eric, are you feeling it in Florida as well? How do you read the coverage of high gas prices? Because it is obviously a real issue.
I was going to say, you should come to Florida. I only paid $60 to fill up my tank. But what I will say is what's interesting to me about this is that this isn't new for Fox. They were trying to make this connection back in November and even earlier. And right now, what it feels like is an attempt to sort of forestall the natural tendency that Americans have to rally around the president when he's in the middle of an international crisis, especially something like the Ukraine war, where there seems to be a lot of agreement with how he's handling it. And so these rising gas prices are a good way to sort of push back against the good feelings that Biden is engendering without actually taking aim at the Ukraine war or anything that could be sort of perceived as harming that effort.
All right, that's interesting. That's really interesting.